Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. I'll do my best to stay under 20 minutes if possible. Well, I'll say 30 minutes, but just in case, because it might go around like 27. But let me just get straight to it. So I just made some quick notes, some chicken scratch notes, pardon the, handwriting. But this is part of the reason how I found out, because I had all this stuff in mind because of the documentation of different things that I was recording, whether it be by phone or by handwriting or just by audio recording over the past 25 plus months. And so I'll be making numerous videos on this subject of basically the government racketeering and harassing, bullying certain individuals. And it's not, when I say that, me being like a melanated African American woman doesn't mean that it only happens to African American people. It's just that it can be a little worse at times because of the racism attached to it. But that doesn't mean that it's because I heard other people, some Asians experiencing racism as well, which was quite surprising because of the complexion. Some of them are pretty light, fair complected. But yeah, so keep that in mind as well. But this is mostly just to show how this stuff was happening. So I'm gonna move it. I'll make another video later on this subject too. So I'm gonna try to breeze through this, and some information I found out at midnight, such as the funny coincidences. I dated two deliciously dark-skinned black men that were both Crips, and they both were from New Jersey. And then get this, they both had baby moms named Ashley. That was a coincidence right there. But that coincidence helped me figure out something. So, I know there's people that says there's no coincidences. Some things are, but I feel like some of those coincidences happen also for a reason where it's connected to something that isn't a coincidence. But yeah, anyways, I'll get to that in a moment. It was simply about the police harassing me specifically on November 22nd, 2020. They came to do something, and they weren't there just to do an original, even in their typical harassment stop. This wasn't one of those where they're just I'm talking about the ones where they lie and say you were speeding or it was something deeper than that. They were trying to do something way beyond just giving me a ticket to rack up a bill so they can meet their quota. And it has something to do with a man I dated back in 2013 or 14, I believe. I met him at the bank. He's working at the bank, and his baby mom had something to do with those officers coming after me. But that sounds a little far-fetched, so I'm going to stay away from things that sound like that and just stick to what I have here, even though that is on here. So the first thing I just wanted to say is, it feels like it's been 1,000 years that I've been going through this stuff. Not complaining, but just kind of saying it in a way I'm sighing at this situation. I'm here we go again, or here they go again, playing this same dumbass game like a lame. And I'm saying that because it seems like, when people say we have other lives, past lives, and potential future lives and stuff like that, I feel like they've been doing this stuff for so many years that even after dying and coming back, they trying to continue the same BS. They even put a sign outside, maybe a month ago, or 3 weeks or a month ago, saying this is nothing new. I know, baby, because y'all still doing the same ratchet tactics to the point where it helped me catch on too fast, too quick about what was going on. It's just that I was told to wait when I provide this information. And I'm doing this because there's people who went through even worse than what I've gone through. Like the lovely reader that said a story recently, I saw she had a story that she went to jail for 4 freaking years, bro, for something she didn't do, on top of them taking her children. So when I heard that, I near cried when I heard her story. I was like, no, that ain't right, because she's a beautiful woman. She's a good woman. She's a reader. Some of you might know her. She's a beautiful chocolate skinned woman. But yeah, anyways, let's get to this. So I made some bullet points so I can kind of stay on track here. We're already at 5 minutes, so let me speed this up a bit, and then I'll make other videos as well. So you probably can't see it, and sorry for the screen shaking. But I'm mostly reading it anyway, so you can also like pause the screen when I be still and read some if you like to zoom in. If you can read my handwriting, because I just made quick notes when I was kind of sleepy earlier this morning when it was like midnight, and then I fell asleep right after. So anyways, let me get to the point. So the first bullet point here, it says harassed by community after escaping several kidnap attempts. And the reason I said several kidnap attempts is because after my mom and grandmother had died the same exact way at home, when I left the house, all of a sudden there was these only black men that were riding by trying to pick me and my son up and ask us if we needed help. But it was done in a way that was strange. And there was like this deranged energy that emanated from these individuals. And I know, being in Oregon as an African-American woman, most African-American men, regardless of what country they're from, whether they are from the Bahamas, like whether they're Caribbean or not, or just like any version of Afro, that's what I'm saying. Even if you're from London, I'm just going to say the legalese, the Black's Law Dictionary version, black man, any black man mostly was going for someone that was not a black woman. So I knew something was wrong, because they usually, even when we first moved up here, they had negative attitudes, like just looking at you. And it's funny because those same men, even if you weren't dating a Caucasian man, if they just saw you walking with one, they mean mugged you like, what the hell are you doing? Like something's wrong with you. They look at you like you're betraying your ethnicity by being with that white man. And you don't even be dating them. You just be walking with them and y'all be talking, or they're a friend of yours. Or like a coworker, they see you walk with her, they give you looks like, if looks could kill, we drop the freak dead. It's disgusting. But anyways, so that's why I knew there was a problem when they were all of a sudden, they're out the blue. I'm just randomly walking on the street. They pulling up to me, asking me, do I need help? I wasn't the reason why I knew something was wrong, because if they think that I need help and they are offering to help, one, they must know why I need help, because they have something to do with me needing help. Two, they're trying to take me back to the person that I'm trying to escape from, or whoever is the person who sent them to come and get me. And I'm saying that because there's an instance where a man he was upset because I wouldn't get in his car, and I politely declined his offer of asking if he want us to take us somewhere. And I looked back and I saw another white car that was like his white car, except for they were on the side of the road with the trunk open by itself, and the hazard lights were on. They were just sitting there. And then he came from that direction, and then he went on the freeway when I declined, and then he came back and he asked again. He was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And he was upset. He took his Bluetooth headset from around his neck off, and was waving it at me, shaking it at me, like, if you don't get your ass in this car. He said, I got my wife on the phone. Wow. He was becoming upset that I wouldn't get in. And then these type of men were following me around. And this happened this was happening back in 2022. Like, I made another video talk about how I had to walk on the side of the road, the opposite direction of the freeway, facing the opposite direction of traffic, the basically oncoming traffic at night, to prevent them from following up behind us and stopping and trying to get us in the car. It was frightening. So after that happened, I finally made it to where the Moda Center is, and I fell asleep at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning on the grass for about an hour after I left this man at the gas station that was like a mile and a half away from where I was at. And he came and found me at the Moda Center that morning. At night, it was maybe 10 or 11 o'clock at night, going on midnight possibly. And I told him no, I didn't. He followed me. He got out his car. He was like, hey, that lady's walking with her baby at night by herself. Let me go see if she need help. That's what he later told me the next day because the way he walked at me, it's like he already knew me, and he was trying to come and get me in the car with him and a lady I used to see him riding around with. and it was something off. So as soon as he kept trying to come at me and walk towards me and try to get my attention, he kept saying, "Hey, hey!" I just kept walking. I ignored him because like every black man that was coming at me, they were trying to kidnap me, and that's part of the reason. Bail outside, but that's why I have trust issues with black men here in Oregon, and even some that come from another state, because some of the people that are gang stalkers, if you know what that is, they travel from other states to be a different person, hoping like if you're not from here, you'll trust them more if they're not from here where you're at, and then go with them. But it hasn't worked until this point, so they've tried all sorts of things. But James is that dude's name, and his dad was a Mason, and he knew about what gang stalking was, but he started gang stalking me. That's how I knew some of the people who knew what gang stalking was were the gang stalkers. And then, so anyways, after he found me outside, he told me about the apartment complex that was a mile away, or I'll say maybe 5 to 10 blocks away from where I was at the motor center. And I applied. I stayed with him for 2 nights, or 3 nights. He attempted to sexually assault me, and he was upset. He actually did, but I even told the people here about that situation. Of course they didn't do anything, but eventually he got evicted, because that's after I stayed with him. I had my son with me. I didn't want to alarm anybody, so when he offered, I was skeptical. That's why the first night I declined his offer to come with him. But since it was daytime, he said we could stay there for like a day, and then when the people open, we can go down and apply. But they weren't there, so we stayed another night. But after he is sexually assaulted, I left, and my son and I were walking around all night. And then he called us in the morning, and we did a DoorDash delivery together, and he was upset because even though I shared money with him, he got upset because he saw that I was making money and it was going to my account. Even though I was sharing money with him, I actually split it down the middle for him driving around and us just going to go drop the orders off. But instead, he started going to do drug deals under the bridges and say fuck the orders that I was getting. And then I didn't have my bike at the time, so I wasn't able to make money doing DoorDash because I don't think they had a walk-in, and it took long because who wants cold food? So I didn't even attempt to do the walk-in version. I don't even think they had the walk-in version. If you put scooter, you might be, anyways, forget about that for now. But anyways, James had a lot to do with some of the stuff that was going on to me once I moved into the apartment, though, because he knew information about me. And he also has some stuff happen to his car that happened to other people who were also following me and harassing me. But anyways, we got the apartment. Because I had an open DV case open at the time, they let us in for free. Actually, I didn't have to put a down payment. I mean, not a down payment. What do you call that? Deposit. And they just moved us right in the next day. The state, the lady that was working here through YWCA, which is another one of those community programs, her name was Shauna Thrower, and she actually had them pay for 1 night to stay at a hotel. But it was a hotel on 82nd Avenue, basically the whole stroll, and the door they gave us a room where you don't even need to lock the door because somebody could just push it open. It looked like someone had broken into that room several times. So what I did was take a table that was long enough to stretch from the angle from the door to the other wall that was across from the door, so that if they tried to break the door open, it would only bust open at the top, and if I fell asleep, I would hear them trying to break in. So, and because I knew they were BSing me, she was like, well, do you want me to call and see if we can set you up with another room? At that point, I was so tired, I was like, no, we'll take it. And I stayed woke for most of the night and fell asleep after midnight. And we were on the first floor. It was kind of scary because my son wasn't even a year old yet. He was less than 8 months old. Probably was like 6 months old at the time when this stuff was happening. But anyways, once we got in the apartment, like some months, slowly but surely, the 7th floor, I live on the 7th floor currently, the 7th floor neighbors were harassing us along with the management, the property managers that's on the property. Like, I got a random call when my refrigerator wasn't working. It was working actually, but it's like all of a sudden there was water that would just pour out of the refrigerator onto the floor, and I didn't want them, suing me or saying that I caused the wood on the floor to rot or something because the water kept coming. It will be puddles of water out there. I have to keep mopping it. It'll happen just randomly all of a sudden. So, and it took them a while before they came to actually fix it. And so a lady randomly out the blue called from an unknown number saying, "Is your refrigerator still working?" And then she hung up on me. I was like, "What?" And then that's it. But they did it as a form of like harassment, like to make me think I'm crazy. I called back. Nobody said anything. I almost think it was my housing coordinator partnering with them because she displayed those behaviors. But that we'll talk about that later on. Anyways, also they did something where they was making pictures like directions to play some little game. Like, you know, that movie called Saw where they play games with people to either drive them insane or they'll have to kill themselves, but it's like traumatizing. They played little games with me here like that at this, and you would not believe it, but movies be telling the truth for real, for real. I see that now, even more so than I did before 5 years ago. That's where I'm starting to think that's where they get the ideas from, because they know of stories that have happened, so they make a movie out of it. So yeah, I put paint holes as a just a reminder to, because I made a video, a separate video showing the things they did, because they were watching me in my home, so they knew what to do. That led up to me finally having a mental breakdown, and including when I asked for paint, they didn't respond because I wanted to fix up some things when I moved in that I saw were some issues. They didn't respond, and they would leave notes, like little notes on my door, or letters talk about recertifications. But the recertifications, how many times they asked for me to come and not redo, they would say it's time for annual recertification. So if it's an annual recertification, why in the hell are you calling me or putting notes on my door, talk about something, if we don't come and do it 4 months later after moving in? If we don't come and do our recertification, our housing would be adversely affected. Basically meaning after 4 months, 3 to 4 months of living here, we was going to be homeless again. That's how it all started. They would put notes on our door, and then when I come down there to do it, they wouldn't be there. I could tell they were playing games because of how consistent the stuff was. Like, they kept playing a game with it over and over again. I made a video talking about that more in depth, about how I knew it was a game and it wasn't just me being upset and irrational and overthinking the situation. So after that happened with the notes on the door, and they finally, and on Christmas, might I add, on Christmas, the neighbors that was harassing me on the 7th floor, they had some dude walk out, act like he was gonna try to rob me, had his hand in his pocket, like he was waiting to pull a gun out, like he had it in his hoodie, and he had his hoodie pulled up. I'm like, what are you doing? And they kept playing a game where they'll go on the elevator, go up one floor, go to the other elevator on the other side, and come down that elevator to play with me in the hallway and do some. I know that sounds kind of funny now when I look back on it, because they're idiots. I bet it was real funny to them. But when karma come back to bite that ass. So that's why I said random people came to take me to the hospital when I ran out. So it was Christmas. I went outside. Some random 2 black men were in a newer, nicer Impala, I believe it was, or Malibu Chevy. It was one of those Chevys. It was black, but it had a mirror knocked off. And I was paying attention to that because I noticed the cars that was trying to kidnap me and my son, they had some sort of signs like that. And then also when I found this video that shows signs of that cars do that are doing human trafficking, they have little signs like that on the car where they got a passenger in the car, or that's the car that has that, like, if it's coming through, that's the car that has somebody that has the package, basically. I'm just going to make it short like that. So anyways, because I refused their offer, I was fine. They said, do you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, why I had to go to the hospital? You see, I'm fine. It's like they were upset, and they kept saying something like, mama's going to be mad if you don't go to the hospital. And since I kept refusing because of something I saw in their car that happened, that was also on my son's stroller, when I turned my back for literally just 3 seconds to ask a lady for a shirt because I wanted to cover my son, because the jackets people were giving us were wet and they had stuff on it. It's because they did that though, because when the police finally came to me, they said, you out here in the cold, your son don't got a jacket, blah blah blah. But guess what, after those two black men, they were dressed like they were on business too, like they were doing business. One had a long peak coat on, he was an older dude looking like a pimp, and the other dude was a more business professional, bald-headed black man with glasses and a black turtleneck looking sweater on. And they were upset. They was trying to get us in the car, like, yeah, come on, get in this car. They was like some slightly kind of country black man, but something didn't feel right. It was off, because as soon as I went over there, it's like they were watching me, because I slipped on some ice, but I held my son up, and my head went back, but it didn't touch the ground, and I slid on one of those median curbs by the Denny's across the street from where I live, but I didn't hurt myself. I was fine. And they saw that happen, and I knew, because they were watching, and they all of a sudden was in that black car, and they swerved around real quick to come pick us up. I was like, how were you guys watching us, and then you trying to take us to the hospital? I was like, first, and it's like, I told them I was okay, but it's like they was trying to... What? Hold on, guys. I might have to go change the channel. But anyways, while I do that, I want to tell you that the man in the car... Really, Papa? You're crying at a show that you love to watch? Something is not right. So my son's watching Miss Rachel, of course, and he just started busting out crying like something was really wrong with him out the blue, which was weird. I guess it was a commercial. And then when I come back in here, he does the same thing. Papa, can you please give me a moment? Like, he usually doesn't behave this way. What's the matter, Papa? Here, do it like this. Okay, guys, so I'm trying to get this quick because I wanted to keep it under 30 minutes. He's holding his head, like his ears and stuff. And that's the stuff that pisses me off, because I know about this electronic harassment type shit. And if they doing some stuff to my son, that's really going to piss me off. Like, this kind of stuff happening, it makes me want to go learn, like, to do some sort of witchcraft and curse every freaking police, every freaking lawyer that's been involved in these cases, and curse their lives. And I'm not talking about where it goes down to their bloodline. I want it to affect them. And the reason why I'm making this video is because of that, because I'm tired of these people racketeering, and they can be fraudulent, but they want to put stuff on our backgrounds to make it hard for our lives. That's the main reason why I'm making this video. So I might just make a second version of this, because this is already 22 minutes in. My son will be fine. So anyways, after these people tried to kidnap us, and I refused, and they took a picture of me on my face, they said, well, we gonna fix that. And they took a photo of me. Then, like a couple hours later, when I came back outside, and I had left my son's stroller, because I saw those people were still messing with us in there. They literally have some sort of, I don't know what that smoke was, but when I go look in that area again, I don't see some sort of vent where that smoke stuff should be coming out. So I had it on video, but they stole my phones anyway, so there's no point in me really going into detail about that. But anyways, it looked like a Hispanic woman with long black hair. She came out the blue talking about and now I called the cops on you to get you in more trouble than you can get out of. When I told the cops what was going on, they didn't say anything, so I just walked up. I was like, I'm not doing nothing. Then it's like he was trying to collect his thoughts, because I was actually interacting peacefully with him at that time. So I guess he wanted me to be afraid. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, what are you guys pulling up here for? It ain't nothing going on where I need to call y'all, because nobody was helping in the first place. So anyways, they saw I had a restraint warrant for them to write a ticket and make me another court date. And since that wasn't going to be something to put me in jail, they said, we're going to put a medical hold on you, and you're going to go to the hospital. They just told me what the fuck was going to happen. I was like, and then they took my son from me, And as we're driving off, I'm looking at my son they acting like they're playing with my son and shit in the car and in my face as we drive off in the ambulance. I'm like, what the fuck I knew that it was a setup, but I knew I had no choice but to go through what was happening, because if I did what I really wanted to do, then they would have a reason to forever keep me separated from my son. So I just prayed and tried to stay positive as possible with my thoughts, and I almost gave up at that time because of what was going on. But anyways, I might end it here and make a second part, because we're already at 25 minutes. I'll skim, because if I start trying to get into these parts down here, it's going to take a little bit. So we're already at 25 minutes. I might say a little bit more. So anyways, when we got to the hospital, they had me in the hospital. They gave me some medication. I think it was a benzo or something like that, because I wasn't in my right mind, because I knew something was going on that I didn't understand. But I was wondering, why were these people doing what they were doing to me? I felt like it was orchestrated because everyone was ignoring me, what I was actually saying, and they're still doing it to this day. Ignore me what I'm saying about these people fucking following me and harassing me. That's how I know they know what's going on. And when I just say simply following harassment, the videos I had was more than enough proof to prove what was going on. That's why they did this shit, to take my phones from me as soon as I was going back in the house to get my my son's stroller finally, and say, fuck it, if that shit's burning on the phone that they sprinkled, I'm just gonna have to wipe it off as much as I can and I was gonna go get my phone and the stroller. But by the time I got back in there, they had taken it from the hallway from by the door. The security that they have working here, Gummerland, from whatever security department they're working from. He said they just put that. Anyways, I found out they might not even be. They probably legit as far as something, but they got armed security officer. He's talking about they just have to put that there if a police walk up on them. The way he said is almost like they ain't really what they saying that they are, but he's working here. So anyways, it pisses me off though, because I know other people have gone through this and are going through this, but they know what's going on, but they haven't put the pieces of the puzzle together to be able to like express and articulate what's going on. So I might just get ready to end it there and then start over from here. So yeah, that's what I'll do, guys. I apologize.